Hi, my name's Nathan Lundy, and I'm head of CX here at Mevo, and I welcome you to Mevo Live, a show where we answer some of your hard-hitting questions, tell you about some new Mevo tips and tricks, and all sorts of just other random production things that you may want to know to help you improve your productions, and also see how we use Mevo here at Mevo.com. And with me, I have my colleague, Will.
Hi, I'm Will Kirkpatrick. I'm a technical specialist here at Mevo. I'm here to answer all of your questions and tickets and everywhere else, so I'm glad to be here. And we're here also with Andrew,
our director of video.
Hey everybody, I'm mostly here to make jokes and make these guys look good. I am also here to answer questions, but my questions are probably a little more in tune with like lighting and audio and production related. They are definitely better powerhouses with actual streaming, but I get by. And then, as always, we start off with our production. Will's going to take it today. You ready, Will?
Definitely. All right, so we have mostly Mevo starts all around us. We've got about 6, and we've got also a Mevo Plus in the back. So let me give you a little tour of the studio. All right, we've got our second camera over here with Nate. Got our third camera right here with me. How you doing? Got another camera with Andrew. Got another camera overhead, show you some demos. Got another camera way in the back, that's our Mevo Plus giving us the wide shot.
And then new camera today.
Oh snap.
I'm excited
you can't
about
actually
this.
see, but you could kind of see it right there, is, boom.
Nice.
Someone talked about wanting to see my setup, so I think that this is going to be great for showing you how this sausage is all made. So hi, really excited to have this new start over my shoulder.
Exactly. And what are we doing for audio this time? Is it about the same as our last couple shows? Or did we change anything up maybe from yesterday's little snafu that we sort of ran into during the beginning of our show?
That's a really good point. So we had a wireless lav die on us mid-show, and we had Will Kirkpatrick gracefully re-mic himself with a different mic, but we actually are still using that mic. We just reconfigured a little bit. I think I'm on a wired, and so is Will, and I believe Nate is on a wireless. And Nate, you're going to be leaving us, right?
I am going to be leaving you guys a little bit early, a little bit of a schedule conflict, so I'll only be able to be here for the first Q&A, and then I'm going to have to unfortunately bug out of here for the second half of the show, but I'm sure these guys are going to take care of you. No problem at all.
And don't worry, he will be back on Tuesday.
I will be back on Tuesday, that's true.
So don't miss him too much.
Yep. All right, well, let's get into the agenda for today's show. Tell you a little bit about what we're going to be doing.
I think that's a great idea. All right. So first up, we've got streaming best practices, which is just going to be little overview tips and tricks. I always stumble over tips and tricks. So I'm going to have to say it again. Tips and tricks on how to better your streaming. Then we're going to follow it with a question and answer. I already see some people populating those comments section. I'm looking at Facebook comments right now. But we go back over yesterday's questions that maybe somebody left it on when they watched it after we went live. And then also after that, we have, get ready, we have a video walkthrough of our studio. It's a bit of a long video. It's 9 minutes, I want to say, so it's in depth.
Hefty.
We get a lot of questions on how we do this. So I went through lighting, audio, and how it all goes into the computer. So get your popcorn ready. And then next up, a really great feature is how to use the camera assistant. That's going to be with Will, and then a question and answer. Another question and answer, so we'll take all the questions that are asked throughout the show. Hopefully we get some stumps to, I think you're going to be leaving us by then.
I will.
Yeah.
But if you guys will do just fine with that.
Yeah.
No problem at all.
Great. And then as always, we end with some user-generated stuff. We go through our Facebook page and we see how people are using Mevo Starts, and they're using them in some pretty great ways. I think this is going to be a good show.
Yeah, so I guess we should just get started with some streaming tips and tricks. That's what it is, tips and tricks.
Yeah.
So when you start your live stream, there's a few things. There's sort of the marketing side of things, and there's some technical requirements that you need to do. So one of the main things that you need to do a live stream is to have internet. That is by far the most important detail.
Yeah.
And that could be a number of things. It could be hardwired internet. It could be a router that you have set up in a venue, or you could just be risking it all and putting it on a cellular connection, which honestly these days with cellular connections, which are pretty solid in most places, it's actually a great, pretty stable way to go. But I always recommend hardwired using our Ethernet power adapter or even a third-party one to make sure that you're always connected to the internet. And I would say that's one very, very important detail.
Definitely. We've also, audio is obviously a huge thing. You want to make sure that you've got clear audio. You want to make sure that your camera's set up in a great place with a good angle and some good lighting. We were just talking before, as we were testing our setup, that testing before going live is probably one of the most important things. Maybe second to internet, but definitely important.
Yeah, it's one of those things you never know what you're going to really run into unless you actually pretend like you're doing your real production. You may think you have done like the checklist of like, oh, video, battery, audio, internet, all these things. But until you've actually started a stream and done a test stream to listen to it all and view it all to make sure everything's solid, you don't really, really know.
Right, yeah.
It's very key. And then there's some other things that are kind of on the marketing side about like picking a time. Countdown clocks are going live ahead of time with a countdown clock so your audience can build, and I'll let Andrew kind of expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, I'd say duration and time that you go on is a really tricky question to answer. So obviously if you have a business that needs a certain time slot, so let's say you're a place of worship, you're going to go on when you have a mass or whatever. And if you have an event, if you have a baseball game, you're going to go on when you have your baseball game, obviously. But if you have the choice, let's say that you have a home improvement business and you have the choice to be going live, I think, Will, you have some really great insight here, but some of my favorite practices are going between 3 and 6 or 7 p.m. Eastern. I feel like you get a really great people are just ending their day, or they're maybe winding down and on Facebook. We don't do that here, but kids are leaving school, and that's when a lot of users go online, and I think you'll get a really great user base and be able to build off of that time slot. That's like my go-to time slot. Will, what do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, you really want to think about your audience. Obviously, it varies depending on what you're doing. After 3, you've got people coming home from school. After 6, you've got people coming home from work. They're going to be watching something, whether it's something on YouTube or something on Netflix, so it might as well be you instead. So you want to fill those kind of spots so that people are already watching things.
Yep, exactly. And even with our show, the very first show we did, which this is still an experiment, right? We're still trying to find our own place for this show. But the first show we did, we only did a 2-minute countdown ahead of time to get everyone kind of on board, notifications from Facebook and things like that starting to send out. But then we realized, well, we need a little bit more time because people are starting to join the show after we've already started. So we decided to go live with a 10-minute countdown. And those are just kind of those on-the-fly decisions that you'll probably need to make for yourself depending on the audience that you have. And Blake from the Facebook group actually had an interesting point here. He created a hidden Facebook page just so he could go live. And that's smart. A great way to do it, right? You can go live, you can share the link with people that may be at home that you want them to view and test with you.
Right.
And it doesn't go out to like your main group of audience, or your main audience for that matter. But you can still test the workflow from start to finish and make sure it's all set to go before you actually do it.
Yeah, and I think those are really great points. But I would also like to add that you should always be malleable. You should always, come up with a plan, stick to it for maybe a month or so, a week. Do it every day or however often you plan to do it, but then also try some different times. A/B testing is a big thing. Try in the morning, try later at night. You may be missing an audience in, this is international. Facebook is global, so you may be missing an audience in Asia. You may, Europe, they're very different time zones. I think that kind of late afternoon Eastern time zone hits most of them. but really early works. I've done stuff at 9 a.m., 6 a.m., 11 a.m., and really just as Will said, find your audience and when they're online. I think that's such great advice, and I think we spoke about it, but to expand, the one key, and I've said this before on the show, but if you go to a movie theater, how many screens do you see? You see one screen. You're only seeing one picture. How many speakers do you see? You see 16, sometimes 30. IMAX has a million. So audio is incredibly important. It is just as important as video. I almost said more, but that's not true. It's just as important as video. So really figure out good audio and how to get it into the camera. Thankfully, Mevo Start has, I don't know, 70 different ways to get audio?
Yeah, I think it's like 75.
Yeah,
75 different ways that you can bring in audio from yesterday's episode. If you haven't watched it, by the way, plug for learning how to use good audio with your Start.
Oh, yeah. I think, especially talking about yesterday's episode, we'll just dive in a little bit. We had some audio issues. We fixed them live. And I don't know why I did quotes there, but everyone knows that this is live, and don't beat yourself up. There's a lot of stress that goes into getting this right, and it goes wrong often. A lot of the time it's user error. Yesterday I messed up a few times, and I watched the show. I kept a log of my mistakes. I took screenshots, cried, and then came back, and I think we're better for it. We've fixed some stuff. So this is my camera. This camera has all of the mixer feeding into it, and it powered off mid-episode. So all of our audio went, and we were getting comments like, lost audio. Well, I just had to power it back on, and it came up, but now we switched it to powered and PoE, so it's a much more stable system. So, adapt, be malleable, and don't beat yourself up. I have to, what's the saying? It's easier said than done, because I don't live by these words, but don't beat yourself up if something goes wrong. Like, laugh it off. It's really endearing to see someone do a mistake and then be able to learn from it and laugh. And I just think that's one of the best ways to relate to your audience, because you're human. We all make mistakes. And now, that translates to live. So I feel like, I'm seeing some questions pop up. You guys ready to answer some?
Let's do it.
Also, I for the first time, I actually went into the customer group, and I'm pulling questions from posts that I thought were interesting. So you don't necessarily have to, I would like for you to comment on here, subscribe, follow us. But I think that there's really great questions that are asked to the group all the time. And I think that, why don't we start with one of those?
Let's do it.
Let me get that set up. One sec, guys.
Question time.
Best part of the show, actually.
It's very exciting.
It is.
We normally don't know the questions ahead of time, so me and Nate are just kind of figuring it out.
It's a little surprise along the way.
Yeah, it's fun. Okay.
All right, can we use the Mevo mic app or the iPad mic with the coming Multicam app? Yeah,
absolutely.
I think we're going to bake that in. Basically, any feature, not 100%, but almost all the features that are in the Mevo 2.0 app or Mevo app will most likely make it into the Multicam app in one way or another. I can't tell you a timeline or when that's going to happen, but it should happen. So yes.
All right, this next one is from Hannah Mandy, and I love this question. What are all your favorite features of Start? I'll go first. My favorite feature, so live streaming, people get hung up on numbers a lot, and I think honestly 4K is I'm gonna get murdered over this, but 4K is a little overrated. It's just a number. I think good streaming 1080p is really all you need. Bitrate is infinitely more important. But my favorite feature is actually, and you may have guessed it, is how versatile the audio inputs are. You could get and be able to manage them all within the app. It's kind of miraculous. The 3.5 in, the USB in, being able to use a mixer in, and using Mevo mic app, wireless lav into your phone. I mean, it's easily the audio features that come with the camera. Like handedly, it's my favorite part of the camera. What about you guys?
I would definitely say all the connectivity options. The Start has the NDI, it has wired webcam, it's got wireless webcam with Mac. It's pretty awesome the way that it can be set up to whatever kind of situation you're working with.
Yeah, I have to agree with that actually. NDI was a feature that I really fell in love with a long time ago, and I'm so happy that it's in Start. But I think in general, just the fact that we're a software company that also builds hardware. So any of those cool features that you want that are maybe out on the market right now, we can potentially, depending on what it is, add those features to Start. So I think just that, I know that's kind of a blanket statement,
right,
but I think it's really important, and I think it's kind of a feature in its own. That you don't buy this product that's just only the product. It can expand and change and grow with you and the features and technology that are around. So that's mine.
All right, next up, I'm gonna try this camera angle. Are you guys ready for this crazy?
I'm
Let's see it.
All right, so this next question is from Allie, and hey, you can see me right there. Can we use one iPhone to control multiple Mevos? This is a really great question, and we talked a little bit about it yesterday. What do you guys think? Can you?
You can, but not at the same time. So you can have, I don't know, if you saw yesterday's episode, you could see Nate was scrolling through all the cameras that we have in the studio. So yes, you can have lots connected to one mobile device, but you can only control one at a time.
Yep, but if you go to Mevo.com and look for the Multicam app, you'll then see a way that you can connect 4 or 3 cameras at the moment into a single app and cut between them and create kind of like a multicam show like we're doing right here.
Definitely.
All right, what do you got for us? The next question.
This one, I was reading it. This is why I took a second. And I'm going to talk directly to you because this is a bit of a tough question. Letra Davis asks, how do I configure my Mevo so that when I'm doing a Facebook Live, it shows at its highest resolution? It's a bit tricky on Facebook. Do we want to get into that? This is a bit of a dive. So
this is a bit of a dive. Maybe we almost should dedicate an entire episode to just optimizing streaming platforms.
Yeah. Basically, I mean, through I'll show you here this stream page. I don't know if you can see it, but down here there's a Facebook icon, and you can choose 1080p out. The short answer is Facebook will only allow a 720 stream unless you are a level up program. So Facebook, we'll get into it, but the short answer is just to your page. You can look up the level up program. I'll put it in the comments, Letra, but you will be able to do 1080. It's a little involved. Out of the gate, you get 720. You can level up to 1080. It's a great question. Yeah, very, very good question. Let's see. Blake asks, would you recommend a separate network for running a Mevo?
I would definitely recommend that if you have the option. Sometimes this could be a cost thing or a technical limitation for not having like that connection nearby. But if you ever have the opportunity to run a dedicated fast network connection, even if it's just a router, but dedicated to what you're doing, it's always going to provide some stability and some other things to it.
Which is actually what we did here. We have the office Wi-Fi, and then we decided we're going to have so many Mevo starts to do this show, so we set up a second one.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just dedicated to just our production here. And even then, you'll still run into some issues because we're connecting so many cameras, but at least we've done pretty much everything we could to limit that.
And actually, I think that leads into our next segment pretty well. I think we're going to say bye to Nate. Bye, Nate.
Bye.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys on Tuesday.
All right. Bye, buddy. So I think that leads us into our next segment pretty well. It's the video walkthrough of our studio. So we get a lot of questions on how we do this live stream. There are a lot of cameras here, This is a bit of a deep dive, and I don't have music to it, so this is a raw documentary. I hope you are patient. There's a lot of uhs and ums, and so grab some popcorn and get ready to walk through our studio and how we have it all set up. Hope you enjoy. We get a lot of questions on how we set up this show and how we stream it. So I figured it'd be good to go through how we set up our lighting, our audio, and how we put it all into a computer and stream it for you all. So let's get started. So first, let's talk lighting. We have these large Generate Endeavors. We have a couple of them, but this is the main light for the studio, and it's going into a Angler boombox 36-inch softbox. I really like those as light modifiers. If you've seen my Lieutenant Governor video, I talk a lot about that. Then next up we have this little lighting bank, which has a Kino Flow Diva light at the top there, and then another Genere LED circle light. They all pump to Talent right there. And then we have another bank of those. We have another Kino Flow Diva up there, two Genere circular LED lights there. Then we have two more up there for backlights for Talent. We have these, they're Quasar bars. I'll get specifics on that, but they're RGB, so they have a really amazing spectrum of light colors that you could use. They're really great lights to show in the background, but they output a lot of lights. And then we just have a regular kind of LED string behind these, behind the bookcase, and we set it to red. And then we have a few of these. Let's see. We have a few of these Lux CEO LED wands. They're really nice. They actually put out a really decent light. We got one on the floor over there that pumps out a red light, and they're rechargeable, and they'll even charge your phone. You know, so it's a waterproof. It's a really great light. We use it to highlight product shots. So if he's ever right in here, he'll have something in his hand, and it'll be a nice light just hitting, you know, Mevo Start or whatever he's talking about that day. And same with this guy. It just a white light that we put on basically full power that'll cover all the devices here on the table. I think we should also talk about the cameras we use. We have 6 Mevo Starts that are all wired. Most are wired with our PoE adapter, and then are connected to our local network, and that all feeds into our little live stream station that we have on an AV cart. I'll get into that in a second, but we also have one, and if you watch a show, you know we talk about this one because we like it a lot. We have one shot back here that is a Mevo Plus on a boost, and on a slider, and it's a Syrup Genie slider. It's got a really great wide angle, so it shows the studio really well, I think. We do have a green screen back there. We don't use it for the show, but you know, always good to have just in case. Okay, let's go into audio. We use several different things for audio. First up are these Sennheiser G3s. We use one of those, and they're really great mics, wireless, kind of workhorses, kind of the go-to wireless lav. That's for one of the Talent. Then the other Talent, 2 Talents are using hardwired lavaliers. One is a Sony hardwired lavalier, and the other is a Audio-Technica. I think we'll be replacing all Talent audio with Sony wired lavs. Just, you know, one less thing to worry about. Wirelessly transmitting can be a little tricky. And then one of my favorite shots, we go over the shots, so I'm not going to go over it too much in here, but one of my favorite shots is this top-down shot that's just armed out on a boom, on a C-stand, on a boom arm, and then we literally just Velcroed on this this little LED bar. And so you have that top-down shot, we will have, I'm using the camera, but we will have a shot for talent there. This will be that, actually this will be this guy. And then this shot over here, this shot is, see, this is our wide that you see. This is our close-up over here. And we also have, you'll see, we have the iMac going directly via HDMI into the live stream studio, which I'll get into in a sec. So yeah, we have this single cam for this talent here, and let's talk about these monitors. So right now, this is the view that they see all the time. This monitor actually is just me, so they can be looking at camera and be able to talk to me. This monitor over here shows a few different things. You see that I have them labeled. It shows program, preview, producer, which is me, and then the wide shot in the bottom left corner. I like them being able to see what is coming up next. I try to use preview as much as possible. Obviously live show, so a lot can go wrong, so I'm switching on the fly sometimes. That is the desk, I believe. So next up, we're gonna jump into the AV center. So we have all of these cameras that are not all on right now, but they're all feeding into Live Stream Studio, which is, you know, really powerful. But we have our main wide here, single, and all of the rest of our shots. And then we have a graphics pane that has, the first graphics pane is dedicated to basically just full graphics. The second, like full page graphics, box, picture in picture, you know, things like that. The second is lower thirds, so the questions and everyone's titles. And then the third is the intro and outro and the agenda. And let's see, we have these all of the Mevos are actually hardwired, but they're either connected via the PoEs and a router on the floor here that the computer recognizes, and then they some are just charged and recognized wirelessly. And let me get a little light in here because it's kind of dark, but I'll show you how we have the mic set up. We have talent on 1, 2, and 3, and then I have program on 7 and 8, and so all of the mics are feeding into this board. And then my favorite thing ever is that this board actually goes out on a single 3.5 millimeter cord out the back of here. And here, let's show you. So it goes out there and all the way into this guy. So it goes into my producer camera. So this one little cable runs all the way down and then into my mixer. So all the lavs, all of that stuff goes into my mixer and comes out right into this guy. And then Live Stream Studio registers this camera and registers its audio, and everything's synced up and really great sounding. It's one of my favorite features. One of the things that I didn't mention is I am also, it's not connected currently, but I have this tiny little monitor dedicated to just comments. So all your comments are coming in. That's how I'm talking to you, is this little guy. And then I also, through a separate computer, I talk to talent onto this iPad here. This iPad has a Google Docs connected to it, and we have a dock. So I basically can say, like, coming up, what's the next segment, or if there's any issues that are arising and what I'm working on, telling them either to like slow down or really anything that I need to tell talent. It's a really, really useful little piece right there. I hope you enjoyed this production walkthrough of our live stream setup. I will be making a separate video on how we actually stream, but this was an overview on lighting, audio, and our little AV nest behind me. If you have any comments, please put them in there and I'll get back to you. So I wanted you to see this transition. So I wanted to also add, now that all the cameras are live, I wanted to show you a little bit more behind the scenes. I hope you enjoyed that. But Will was actually very helpful and switched around his camera so you could see what these monitors look like live. Try and say that 5 times fast. So we have this, and now you're going to see the kind of vertigo effect. But you're seeing a preview. So I can, the top left, you see a preview. So that's what I'm gonna post next. So let's say I know that the next segment, Will is gonna be talking about the camera assistant. So I'm gonna put him in preview. And then, so the top left is what's coming next. The top right is actually what you're seeing is the program. And I know there's like an inception, there's many levels to it right now. The bottom right is my shot, and the bottom left is the wide shot. And then the monitor to the right will always be me, so they can be able to talk to camera. But I think that there's a really great feature in the Mevo app that Will is going to run through. Are you ready, Will?
Absolutely. Always. All right. Welcome back. I am here alone now. I've taken over along with Andrew. And I want to show you a little bit about Camera Assistant, which is a great feature of the Mevo 2.0 app. And so let's pull up the iPad on the screen. All right, there we go. Okay, so to first start off, I want to talk to you a little bit about setting up shots. So if you press and hold and then hit the plus, it'll lock in a static shot. You can add in another one by doing the same thing. And then if you go and press the button there, you'll see all the different shots that your Mevo has set up. It's got the default wide shot, the 2 static shots we've set up. And then if you hit the 3 dots, you can click the eyeball with an A, and that brings you to Camera Assistant. And so there are a few options here. There's 3 options. There's Find Faces, Live Follow, and Autopilot. And this is actually something that gets asked a lot in tickets, because what people will see is they'll set up a shot, they'll be really happy with a static shot, and then all of a sudden it'll go wide, and they're like, well, do I have to hold it down each time? And the answer is no. Usually you have Camera Assistant on, and so to turn that off, you want it to look like this. When it's on, it'll look like this. And so let's talk about each one. So you've got Find Faces. As you can see right here, it's found my face and Andrew's face over there as we're moving along. Really good tracking.
It's doing a remarkable job.
It really is,
like,
especially
I'm
from far
away.
back. Yeah. And then Live Follow is obviously really cool. Live Follow will track you as you move around. Let's see if we can activate it. Might be a little too far on that camera, but it'll follow you around as you move, and then if you activate Autopilot, then it'll switch between the different shots. As you see, it just went wide, and it'll switch to your static shots as well. There you go, it switched over to that one. So it's actually using a little bit of intelligence there. There you go, switching over to Andrew as you see that Andrew starts moving. So it's really cool, a lot of fun, and Autopilot, you can actually slow it down or speed it up depending how you want your stream to look. I usually like it to be fairly fast because I like the sort of having it dynamic in my stream. Sometimes if you have a static shot that just holds too long, it might get a little dull. So I like to keep it going pretty quickly. Obviously you can go all the way up and it'll just start switching incredibly quick, as you see. And as Nate pointed out yesterday, as it decides which shot it's gonna pick, the camera lighting will adjust as well. So if you can see, as it switches to Andrew, it lightens up, and me, and darkens down a little bit. So Camera Assistant is a lot of fun. I highly recommend playing with it. It's an extremely useful tool as well. And don't forget, if you are having your camera switch around a lot and it's going wide when you want it to stay in a small static shot, then double check that your Camera Assistant is turned off, and it will look just like this. Nothing highlighted.
I want to see this live follow in action.
Yeah.
Can you turn it back on and find faces? I think it's because the shot was locked. Can you unlock my shot?
Yeah.
There you go.
Hold down,
See?
drag up.
And then
Andrew will just move for us. There we go. It's
Oh,
auto deciding to go
auto, yeah.
wide.
let's see. Cut to me. Punch into me.
See,
Aha.
as I move, it'll go to me. Let's see.
There we go.
We'll remove that. We're just moving around.
Yeah. You see it following my face pretty well.
So yeah, we'll turn off autopilot a little bit.
Yeah, there you go. Punch into me, like hit my face. There we go.
There we go.
See? I think it wasn't working because the shot was locked. So I'm really impressed that it's doing this from this far. I'm gonna say bye. Just kidding. Next up, we have more questions. I think that was
Nice.
great overview, Will.
Thank you.
Let's see what people are asking. All right, TJ Sperlin. I'd love to be able to play a song on a device that is running the Mevo mic app and feeds song directly into my live stream. Is there any way you could update the mic app to allow this? I'll start. I'll let Will answer this question, but I'll start that this is a great place to ask these types of questions. We do take your comments into consideration, and we do have updates that are reflective of the comments that you make in this group. So TJ, really great question. Will, take it away.
So there's definitely two things that stand out about this question. First is that you can do any sort of audio input into a Mevo mic app that's running. So a lot of people obviously use live audio, but you can definitely pipe in some pre-recorded audio and some songs. However, I do want to warn you, a lot of networks like YouTube and Twitch and Facebook will pull that stream down because it's copyrighted music, so you do have to watch out for that.
It's a great question. This next one is interesting. Let's see. Blake Bledsoe asks, does Mevo, and I think this is a really great question to be answered over here, does the Mevo bog down CPU usage if used in OBS as a webcam USB like the iPhone does? I'll start with, we have probably the most intense Mevo setup I've ever seen. Would you say that that's correct, Will?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's 8 cameras running right now, 7 cameras, and we have an iMac, iPad, and iPhone all connected to this computer. This computer is made, it's a live streaming unit, so it is made for this, but we're cruising at 40% CPU. It actually, Live Stream Studio tells you what CPU percentage you're using. So we're about 40, it peaks probably at 50, just jumps to 53. When we do picture-in-picture, maybe it goes to 55. But this is stressful. This is on like a hardware issue, on a router issue, bandwidth issue. This is as far as I've ever seen these cameras get pushed, and it's handling it fairly well. In OBS, I've got less experience than you in OBS. What do you think?
So yeah, I agree. I think, obviously right now we have all of these cameras going and not a lot of CPU usage. It will certainly take up a fair amount of CPU, but it really depends on OBS. A lot of OBS is just what you do on top of the webcam, like graphics and whatnot. So yeah, I would say it would use a little bit of CPU usage, but probably not as much as the iPhone.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
Yeah.
Like, it drains battery, and iPhone, I mean, it's great. But yeah, I'd say it's a little easier. I mean, a computer is a beast compared to the operating. Is that correct? Compared to operating power of an iPhone?
Oh yeah,
battery,
for sure.
and you're plugged in. I mean, yeah, I'd say computers probably. We set up all of these on iPhones. We do the color correction, we do updates, and we set up the shots through the iPhone, but then we put the iPhones away, and then we just let the computer handle all of this. So OBS is a really great way to stream. I would say Will and Joe Mevo, who's on vacation right now, but we'll be back. They use OBS all the time. I'm using Livestream Studio. It's a great question. All right, next up. Vista Church Orlando, okay. Can the Mevo be about 60 feet away from an auditorium stage and still get the ability to use the app to zoom into a stage width of approximately 45 feet? So actually, I'll preface this that our head of marketing, Otto, who you'll see on the show, and he's actually in the comment section. Hey, what's up, buddy? He had a really great suggestion that we're going to do, I think, next week. I'd like to set up, so we right now have an extreme. Right now, we are talking about 8 cameras, slider, tons of light. Next week, we're going to do a really simple setup. We're going to have one Mevo with predetermined shots, and we're going to have 3 different shots, wide, single, and single. Maybe mix up something else too. And something that's maybe a little more average use case. And I think it's a great idea because it is capable of doing it. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm really excited for that. It's great to show like all the different use cases, and we definitely have a lot of people that are just using the one Mevo, so it's good for us to cover that. And as far as the question goes, it really depends on your Wi-Fi. 60 feet is definitely a far range, and we would recommend closer than that. But if you have the strong Wi-Fi, then you should be okay. Also, that is pretty far away. The camera does up to 4 times digital zoom, so 60 feet away is pretty far.
Yeah, I'd say what are our recommended? It's like 5 to 20.
Yeah.
So 20, I'd say 20 is a good distance. Nate had a great suggestion yesterday, and it's actually how I influenced. Well, let's see if we can show you. So it's what influenced this guy. We put it. I mean, you can't even tell it's there. It's super low profile. I love this camera because it's low profile, and I would probably put it closer to the stage. Like you're gonna get better. You're gonna get better video. Like it does a lot, but I would personally put it closer to the stage. All right. Next question I'm gonna love to answer. Derek asks, does the Mevo record video? The Mevo Start, they all do. Mevo Start does excellent video. We just played one back that was shot entirely on the Mevo Start. It does 50 megabits. I'm now just talking. It does really great 1080p. And you'll see we played now. All of our videos are shot on the Mevo Start, but yesterday or 2 days ago, wow, it's been a week. We played a video on again. Otto walked around New York and he just recorded a bunch of stuff. So there is. We'll share it in the comments, but there's really great clips of just footage shot on the Mevo Start, and it's better than it's streaming. So if you like this, your mind is gonna be blown. Okay, last question from a place called Dinky Shop, which I love. I have an original Mevo camera. Any issues using the newest Mevo camera app? Will, I know this is a favorite question of yours. You ready?
Absolutely.
I also to preface, Will, Nate, and Joe are the people answering your support questions. So they are the people that are writing these help articles. So these questions are perfect. They're perfect for here because you're actually talking to the people that are responding to these. So
that is right. All day answering all your questions. The original Mevo camera will not have issues running the newest Mevo camera app, Mevo 2.0. It's based 100% on the device that you're using. The more current, the more up to date, the better. For iOS devices, specifically, you want to be above iOS 11, and Android is, I think, Android 9 or higher. So it really depends on the device only.
Great. Thank you, Dinky Shop, and you have a great name for your shop, Dinky Shop. I wonder where that is. I'm gonna say Cleveland. I think Dinky Shop is a Cleveland place. What do you think?
It's definitely worth a Google, for sure.
Yeah, you just found yourself some engagement online.
Yeah.
All right, so next up is one of my favorite segments. We go through the community page and we try and find really cool things that you guys are doing, you people, everybody, are doing with the, sorry, one sec, let me just pull this up. Yeah, so we try and find really great ways that you're using Mevos. I'm actually not sure how this one was, or what, does it say if it was a start or a plus? I don't think it does.
It doesn't know.
I'm just putting up my picture-in-picture. So actually, you know what? Let's show you what I just did. So I.
Oh, he does say it in the comments. He says it's a start.
Oh, perfect. Oh, I love it. Love starts. So I went into graphics and I loaded up my preview, which you can see here, and you can see that up next is going to be this picture-in-picture with the iMac, and I'm going to push that live right here. And there you go. So that's mostly how I do this. So really great. We talked about this, the camera assistant today. Those are predetermined shots. There's a single on a piano player. There's a double of the singer and piano player or keyboard player. There's a single on the singer, single on drums, and then the wide. That is exactly how this is meant to be used. Thank you. What's their name?
Mike Sentes.
Nice. I think that this is a really perfect example of how to use this. One camera, you got 5 shots there. You know, it solves problems. Mevo Start solves problems. Otto, think about that as a tagline. But always add more of this type of stuff in the chat. It's obviously there for support, but it's like, please share what you're doing with your Mevo. So I think that kind of brings us to a wrap. I think please put comments inside of the Facebook page. Please like, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, comments. We love to go through these Q&As. I think it's one of the best parts of the show where we live answer and anything that's thrown. We try to get through them all. And if you're watching this on demand, if you're watching this after it went live, please still comment, because we go through old episodes to pull questions, and we're also pulling questions just from the Facebook community page. So no matter what, throw your question up there, like, subscribe. That's it for me. Will, take it off.
Yep. So if you have any questions, as Andrew said, you can definitely throw them in the Facebook group. But we also have an excellent help section that you can find on Mevo.com. And if you can't figure out the answer to your question on Mevo, the help section on Mevo.com, then please send a ticket to us, and specifically me, and I'd be happy to help you out. It's been great doing this show, and I really appreciate everybody joining us. Talk to you next week.